So Right Action, why was that the first thing everyone had to hear from this record?
I don't know, I guess it sums up the whole mood of the record, that song. It's a pretty positive song. Yeah, lifts you up.
Talk about the video a little bit. Because it's an interesting video.
Yeah, a lot of it we improvised on the day of the video shoot, didn't we?
Yeah, our actions in it.
Yeah.
Is that different from most videos? Are you told what to do for most of them?
No, a lot of them are planned in advance. You know, some of them we've ad-libbed before, like the Ulysses video, we sort of improvised a lot of that. But often you'll sit down and you have a very definite script that you're going to work through. And but this one,
the bit that we were involved in was just us in a studio mucking around, and then all of the obviously colours and the animations were done afterwards. Yeah, the messing around bit.
Did you know what it was going to look like, kind of, just from like artist renderings or something like that?
Yeah. Well, we had a good idea. Like we sort of gave Jonas, the director, a lot of references that we wanted to sort of see in the video. A lot of it was tied in with a kind of sort of a type of books you'd get in Britain in the 1950s and 60s, which had very strong graphics and a really strong graphic look. And I said, yeah, make it kind of look like that. And he's very good at getting that sort of thing together. That's cool.
How come Love and Lumiere? It's interesting that you guys released both songs at the same time. As singles, basically. In this day and age, I don't know what a single is anymore, really. I don't know if you guys have a better. I don't really know. It's something that you put out first.
I think of it like a double A side, you know,
right?
Like, and this is going way back. We'd have a 7-inch single.
We can work it out, Day Tripper.
Yeah, that sort of thing, you know. Yeah, because I remember the Buzzcocks used to do that. When I was a kid, I found a Buzzcocks single in a second-hand shop that had the A side and side one, and I loved that idea. So both songs are equal to each other. And,
so speaking of the A side thing, so Bullet really like changes the tone of the record,
right?
And I'm thinking like if I had the vinyl record, it would be like side B starting. Is that kind of the intention of that? Because it feels like that listening to the record.
Yeah, we still think of it as two sides.
We planned it out. Like when we were arranging the track order, you know, we thought about it as two sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because it makes it easier, it gives you like a structure, I guess.
Yeah, and like for us, it was like there's a definite mood on side one. It's quite upbeat and it kind of builds up, and then side two, you turn it over, and then Bullet's probably the most intense song on the record. And it makes you think you're going off in another direction, but it's actually a non sequitur, and it takes you off in another direction afterwards.
I like that word.
And it gets a little darker after that, I'd say, the record.
How does it fit in the set now? Now that you guys keep putting out records, obviously. Like the set list, some songs will probably never get played again. Some songs are going to get played every night. Like how do you choose what songs?
It's funny. It's quite surprising the songs that kind of really work live and the ones that don't work so well live. And some of the ones that I didn't think would work at all live are actually the most powerful songs.
Like what?
Like Goodbye Lovers and Friends, the last song on the record.
Right.
I thought maybe that might just be an album-only track, but it's in a way it's the most powerful song live. I really, really love playing it.
There's a lot of space in it to mess around and to have variations from night to night within the song.
Also with the subject matter, I think it's quite. There's a song with a lot of room for expression and a lot of dynamic as well. But Bullet, we've been opening the set with Bullet a lot recently because it's so intense. Like it's probably the most intense song we've written.
Everyone gets going very.
Yeah.
The four of us get going very quickly.
Yeah. Because sometimes we try and do it. We've tried doing sets where you start gently and sort of work your way into it. I think maybe that works for some bands. I remember seeing the Arcade Fire, and they do their sets like that. They kind of really gradually build up. It doesn't really work for us, and we haven't got personalities like that. We're kind of like want to get the energy going straight away from the beginning.
I found it interesting that you soundcheck Take Me Out.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Just because, so why is that the soundcheck tune?
We've changed the arrangement slightly.
It was cool.
Yeah. Like we're doing that thing that DJs do, like sort of like doing a sort of slight breakdown, like a build up. Yeah. We just thought, we just have a bit of fun with it because like the songs, the arrangement's fine. You don't really need to mess with it. But we've been doing it a little bit recently, like changing it a little bit. So I think the goal is to keep the song intact, but to sort of like give it something, something new, so that there's a little surprise when you come and see it. So like it's something so familiar, yet you can go, "Oh right, this is how." In the way that a DJ will play a track and then kind of like piss about with it to make it sound more exciting. When you don't really need to.
I was going to start ripping on DJs, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. I could do that quite easily too. But,
I do want to ask something, because you said something interesting about this record, or about the last record, actually. You said you could have done it so much better, was like a teenager having sex. Tonight is more self-assured and friendlier for the dance floor.
Right, okay.
So boys, where does this one sit?
Oh, I don't want to use any glib sexual metaphors for this one. Yeah, I think I'm way beyond that now.
So what is it?
I know it was the most enjoyable record to make. Like, I think of all of our records, and I think you can probably hear that in the record. When you put in a record, you can definitely sense the mood of the musicians, or the mood that the musicians were in when they made the record. And yeah, it was a pretty good one for us.
End of the tour.
I know.
End of the tour.
I know.
I'm kind of glad we're talking today.
I know.
So Bob was saying he's a little tired.
Yeah. That's meant for last night.
Right. Oh yeah, big night in Montreal.
Yeah, it was good. Montreal was great last night. Yeah. Metropolis is great theatre, and the crowd. I think they were the best crowd of the tour.
Toronto's going to bring it tonight.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I'll make sure to. Yeah.
I've got very good memories of Toronto as well. Yeah. Like, what's the name of the place that we played the first time? Horseshoe in Toronto. Yeah.
The Stones have played there too.
I heard that. Yeah.
I was there the other night, looking at the Channel Strip from like that night that they played.
Yeah. That's nuts.
So, what are some of the highlights, lowlights of the tour? How's it been?
I guess one of the most disappointing things on the tour was the morning of the second week of Austin City Limits, when we heard that it had been flooded. But it ended up being the highlight of the tour, or a highlight of the tour as well, because we called around different venues and asked different people, and we managed to get a gig together in another venue that night. And so it went from total despondency to another really intense, very exciting gig. It was cool. We played this kind of punk rock venue called Infest. It was great. Queues around the block. It was nuts. All word of mouth. It was very cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So, as I said, I was talking to you guys today on Twitter. Got a few questions. You guys want to take a Twitter question?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like this one because The Fallen's one of my favorite tunes. What do you mean by The Fallen being virtuous among us?
Oh, right. Okay. It's talking about a guy I used to know in Glasgow, and he was always seen as a villain by a lot of people in our social circle because he used to do naughty things like rob from supermarkets and take drugs. But in a way, he would have his own very distinct set of moral standards that were probably more extreme than the people who criticized him. So that's what I was talking about.
Cool. On this record, I hear there's a chest cavity kick drum thing that you guys do. So is that what is the craziest thing you guys have put on a record like that? Like, I love hearing that Ringo used to put like cereal boxes on the snare and this kind of thing.
Yeah. It was a fag packet he used to use, wasn't it? Yeah. You'd have a packet of, not Benson and Hedges, something like that. John Player Special, I think it might have been. Or maybe number 6. Yeah, you do all sorts of things like that in the studio. The chest cavity was scratching the stubble to get the sound.
Where are those things? I was listening to the record trying to find the chest cavity.
It's a universe expanded. So we replaced in the verses, the sound of the drums are replaced by these kind of sounds. And like if you put a mic really close, it's a bit like a stethoscope. When you hear the thud of the heartbeat on the stethoscope, it's like that. We wanted it to sound very intimate, but kind of alien at the same time. You're not quite sure what these noises are, where they're coming from. But that's one of the fun things about recording. You can do all these things that you couldn't really do live. I think if you try to do that at a gig, people would be, what the fuck's that?
Could be interesting, who knows?
Yeah.
So we do something called 5 questions. 5 quick questions, 1 word answers. Road or studio?
I'm sorry?
Road or studio?
Both, please. At the moment, I feel road.
Yeah, I could say studio then.
Lennon or McCartney?
McCartney.
Yeah, I'll go McCartney.
When you hear a song, what usually hits you first? Lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Lyrics.
Probably melody.
If someone's never heard Franz Ferdinand before, what song do they start with?
Shopping for Blood.
Stand on the Horizon.
In 1 word, Franz Ferdinand. I guess it would be Franz Ferdinand, wouldn't it be?
Franz Ferdinand is fine. Yeah.
I feel very North American saying that way.
Yeah, no, that's good. 1 word.
Band.
In 1 word.
Yeah. Glasgow.
Nice. Hometown. That's
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it. Good talking to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Man.